I remember we were sitting there meeting. He goes, I'm going to write the software and somebody's got to sell it. So just me and you in here. So you're the salesperson. So when I started at Olympia, there were 12 of us. Then I started to help develop products, doing the research. And, here we are now, 14 years later, 3 buildings, 150 employees.
All right, guys, I am on here with Dan Powell, the business development at Olympia Pharmacy.
Yeah.
And we're so glad to have you on the Wellness Business Secrets podcast. For those of you guys don't know Dan, he's an amazing musician. I've got to see him perform a few times, but he loves what he does, not just in the pharmacy side, but the whole aspect of business. And hopefully going to give him a chance to talk about that today. So Dan, what is your background? How did you get into working with Olympia and doing what you do?
Oh man, I actually born and raised in Pennsylvania, Northeast Pennsylvania, a little coal mining town called Hazleton. I went to school at Penn State. Grew up a Steelers fan, so yes, I am very sad this week as well. But went to Penn State, graduated Penn State actually with a degree in aerospace engineering, and that was in the early '90s. And I think for me at that point, I stuck around Pennsylvania for a year, year and a half. Then we had the winter of '93, and I was like, I'm out of there. And I moved south, and I moved to Orlando because I thought, aerospace engineering, NASA's here, Lockheed's here. I'm like, I'll catch on in engineering when I'm down in Orlando. And it was right around that time when I moved, like early '90s, early to mid '90s, where computers became like PCs, home PCs became a big thing. I really got in, I really got into that, and I ended up catching on with a software company, doing technical support, helping with product development. That company closed, and then the head developer from that company and myself decided to go into business and start our own business. And the funny thing is, we started writing software. Well, he started writing software. I'm not a developer, and there was two. Remember, it's key to this story is there's two of us. He was the software developer to write the software, and funny enough, for salons and spas, it was like a scheduling software, marketing software, reporting. So it's funny how things kind of come full circle. And I remember we were sitting there meeting. He goes, I'm going to write the software and somebody's got to sell it. So he's like, just me and you in here. So you're the salesperson. So I was like, okay, no problem. So that's when I got into sales, software sales. And then I met the owners of Olympia Pharmacy and was friends with them for several years. And we had several conversations around business. And they were like, man, you should come and get into the pharmaceutical sales. And so I decided to go that route. And I actually caught on with Olympia, what I would say on the very ground floor. So when I started at Olympia, there were 12 of us. And now 12 of us in a little suite in the same complex we're in now. But there's 12 of us, and that's when the 503Bs first became a thing. So all of us wore a bunch of different hats. So my sales role kind of rolled into processes and product. I learned about the pharmaceutical industry, learned about products. I was into health and fitness for a long time. So that what we did here, like wellness medications, really, I was like, oh, this is great. I could really excited about it because I could learn, somebody who works out and does athletic events. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Then I started to help develop products, doing the research, and here we are now, 14 years later, 3 buildings, 150 employees.
Wow.
And it's been a hell of a ride. So that's how I ended up from small town Pennsylvania to business director at Olympia Pharmaceuticals.
What's funny, you talked about fitness, and I have a fitness background as well. But I think before I even knew who you were, we were always at a lot of these same shows, and you and I'd always be at the hotel gyms at the same time in the morning. I could see, I think I'm somebody here, I think. So talking right now, what would as product development, what are you doing for Olympia? Are you actually, are you working with the scientists or the pharmacists? Like, what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis?
That's a great question. So I come up with ideas. Our target customer, we're a wellness pharmacy, a vanity pharmacy, if you will, where, I mean, we don't really sell antibiotics and vaccines and stuff like that. So we're not like your Walgreens or CVS. We make medications and this is what I love about it. We make medications to help people live a more active, fulfilling life as you get older. And the great thing is as I've aged, I'm our demographic. So uh, my everyday life is oh wow, it'd be great if we had this, or it'd be great if we had that. So those kind of medications like energy, the big focus, the big word in my brain for this year is inflammation. Inflammation has so many negative effects to it. And I'm really looking into coming up with some ideas. So I'm the idea guy. Comes say, hey, you know what? We need to tackle inflammation. Then I start doing the initial research. What are the you know inflammation harms what? Like, what are all the things? And when I talk to my friends and people, my peers, like, oh yeah, yeah, I experienced that, I experienced that, I experienced that. Then we start looking at things. Well, what fights inflammation that we can do that would kind of be in our wheelhouse? So I come up with those ideas, and then we sit down. We have a product development team, which is like a group of pharmacists and our scientists. And I say, hey, this is what I think the market's looking for. And this is what I think we can do to get into that market. And I put all that out there. And then our marketing person is like, she'll be, oh yeah, that's great. Or, let's market it this way. But then the really smart people, the pharmacists and the scientists, they make sure that my ideas don't hurt anybody, right? They make sure that this drug will work with this drug, and it does what, we go through all the testing and all the dosing and all that kind of stuff. And then we roll it out.
So I'm just curious, as you said that, because I just brought my brain to like, I mean, at least to my perception, I'm newer to the industry. I've only been around about 3 years, but I feel like the last year has just been insane for growth and people coming in and probably using your guys' product. Has that been challenging, having you're expanding product lines, you're having so many new clients come in, and everyone wants to do everything? Like how have you really had to adapt to that, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, we're very blessed to uh you know the challenges we have every day, we're very blessed to have, because it's the challenges of growing extremely quickly. And there are, people might sit back and think, oh, that's a great problem to have. And it is, in the grand scheme of things, it's a wonderful problem to have, but it doesn't come without its challenges of staffing and training and keeping up with our current customers. So we've developed different departments, and we from I almost said 1922, 2022. From 2022 to 2023, we doubled in size. We,
Wow.
yeah, which is just phenomenal. And we added a new building, and we continue. We're building out that building. So there's a lot going on that would actually take hours to explain. But the challenges have been, there's been a lot of them. So one of the things we've done to overcome those challenges. So as we're adding new customers, we have our account teams, for example, who onboard those customers, get them into the pipeline, help them get up and running. And you can imagine, with that volume of new customers, that group of people, that's all they could really do is just keep adding new customers and getting them on board. Then we had this whole other group of customers. And I think this is where I want to say we shine in this area, but we still do, we still have a lot of blind spots in this area too, but we still have our existing customer base that wants to learn about new products or has questions. Or yeah, an IV company might have turnover. They get a new front desk person or a new physician, and then we have to start that process all over again. So we've actually created a department called customer success, which isn't the sales department. It's not the business development department. It's just another department that, after you've aged with Olympia for, I believe it's 90 days, it's either 60 or 90 days, you get an introduction to the customer success department and say, hey, from this point forward, we can help you with all your questions. And that's a whole department of people. And we're still building that to kind of help people who are already with us, that are having challenges or have questions or want to try new products. So we try to manage the growth like that. We just say, hey, where's our needs? Let's build a department. And the good thing is, like I said, I'm our demographic in age, but there's a lot of people here that are younger than me, pharmacy, pharmacists, accounting graduates, engineers, scientists, that are all, in their 20s and 30s and have a whole bunch of energy that I wish I still had. But they really, they really build that infrastructure here for us and keep that running, because the growth is, like I said, it's a great problem to have, but it's challenging. You lose sleep over it sometimes.
I'm just going to say to anyone watching, most of our audience is in business. Everyone, what you prayed for becomes what you pray about. Like for one of my companies, we had 1,000 new clinics come on in the last year, which sounds amazing. And I have a lot more gray hair because of it. Like but one thing I'll say is, one thing I hear, and I'm gonna get in trouble here, so forgive me, Dan. Sometimes people will say in this space, Olympia can be a little bit more expensive. But I think the huge thing is you guys take care of your customer, and that doesn't come without that. I mean, it's the quality. There's so many reasons into that. So anyone that's out there going, oh, I found a pharmacy down the street that did this. Are they going to train your staff? Are they going to provide these resources and become a partner? So I think that's something to really always evaluate. And it's awesome you guys are doing that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because we do get a lot of, I'm in the Facebook groups. That's how I think I first got to know you. And people get in this, oh, Olympia is so expensive. I'm gonna choose my words carefully here. Something that's happened over the last several months is some of our competing, some of our competitors. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. Having to be on a podcast and I'm struggling talking, so I don't know about that. But some of our competitors that were charging those low prices, and again, I'm being very diplomatic here. They were inspected by the FDA and by other regulatory bodies, and they had to change the way they did things. They had to change the way they tested. They had to change the ingredients that they used. And because of that, I've seen them come out with updated price lists that are much higher than they were a year ago. And the simple answer to that is, well, there's two reasons. One, everything's gone up, in the last few years. But the other reason is to do things right, to do the testing correctly, to buy the right vials, to buy the right filters, to buy the right APIs, to have them tested in the right ways, to run the stability studies, which are just a bear of a study. That all costs money, and that raises your cost to bring that to market. And then we keep the staff here to add that customer success department, to keep our shipping department growing. It's not uncommon for somebody to call us up and say, I've been trying to get products from this pharmacy for weeks. How fast can you get us up and rolling? And I'll be like, well, it's 20 after 1. If you get us your application filled out and back today, you should be able to order tomorrow morning and have it delivered the following day. So that's literally how fast we can turn things around and get products out the door.
It's funny because, we consult for a lot of these clinics, and I kept hearing that, especially on like GLPs, which I want to talk about in a second, but people were like, oh, Olympia was expensive. And then a lot of these clients that were saving a couple dollars a vial had to refund clients they sold expensive packages to because they couldn't fulfill. And so what's really more expensive when you really think about those things? Because there's a cost to everything.
There is. And the beautiful thing about the practitioners who are using the medication, here's the beautiful part about it. You buy a vial from pharmacy A, and that vial contains it doesn't matter what medication, but it's a 30 ml vial. And the dosing is, I'm going to go with IM injections because that's easier to explain. The dosing is 1 ml per injection. Okay. So let's say they pay $30 from pharmacy A for that. So that's $1 per injection, their cost, and they're charging, $20 an injection. So they're making $19 which is really good. Now, here's the great part about that. They might look at Olympia, and I'm going to go big here. Say, well, Olympia is at $60 a vial for the same product, but here's the beauty of it. If you raise your price to your customer by $1, instead of 20, you charge them 21. They're not going to care, and you're going to have the product quicker, and you're going to know that it came from a pharmacy that's done all the testing and the stability studies, and your profit remains the same on that.